broadcasting on Star Worldwide Networks. It's Two Small Biz Guys. And now, here are your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
And welcome to Two Small Biz Guys. Ray, how you doing today?
I am super duper sensational because we got some super duper sensational guests today.
We do. We have some very special guests. That's VSGs.
No, they're not special. They're super duper, which makes them special.
Oh, so they're VSDPs. G's.
Well, I can't spell that well, but yes.
Yeah, so much for advisorology. You can't even talk today.
That's right.
Speaking of talking, we've got some great talk coming up with Ray Schey for the Phoenix Business Journal, and the mayor, Dave Pratt from Star Worldwide Networks, join us here in the studio today. Guys, glad to have you here.
Oh, it's good to be here, and Ray, it's good to meet you too. So.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
You guys got some commonality already.
Certainly do.
In little Rochester.
Worked in radio for many years.
Oh yeah,
rockin' Rochester.
We're over here goofing around already, having fun, talking about the old WKRP days.
Right.
So.
Well, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to be talking about how
do you pronounce that?
What, WKRP?
Yeah. I'm just kind of
Ray's
curious.
Quick already. He's ready. See, we have Ray and Ray here. Hey, it's a Ray and Ray show.
It's a Ray and
Ray
Ray
squared.
show.
That means we're
That's
kind
right.
of
Ray squared.
We're cubed.
Zen and
today.
Dave are the producers, but it's Ray and Ray. So.
Right. All right. Well, again, thanks, guys, for being here. We're going to be talking about media today. Both of you are involved. Ray, you're in print. Dave, you're in radio. Both of you have been involved with for a long time. But I want to start out with, or we'd like to start out, I got to include my partner here, the co-host, and talking about how you got into the industry.
You want to start?
Dave, you want to start off?
Sure, yeah. I'm an old radio warhorse, and Ray and I were just talking because Ray was in radio as well. But it's all I've ever wanted to do, and it's kind of an unusual story. A lot of times, little kids, they want to be an actor, they want to be an astronaut, they want to be an athlete or a rock star. For some crazy reason, I always wanted to be a radio guy. So
do you like to hear yourself talk? Is that it?
No,
no. I know the reason. You didn't want anybody to see you.
Thank you, Ray. See,
right.
This Ray and Ray thing, how's everybody going to know who I'm talking to here? Okay? All right, look, if it's one of these tough comments on me, right, if they're beating the heck out of me, that means it's Ray from Ray and Zen, all right? If it's a really nice, intelligent guy talking, that means it's Ray from the Business Journal, okay? Let's just clarify that.
There we go.
But that's my story, so I've lived my dream, and I'm still living my dream, Ray?
Yeah, I started in college radio, working at the radio station at St. Bonaventure University in upstate New York, where I went to school, and from there, communications was my background, journalism was my course of study, and ended up moving into radio and sales, and started out in promotions actually.
So if you're doing college radio, were you one of those rock guys, one of those alternative rock radio guys?
Not really alternative. I was more of the classic rock kind of guy, but I had a pretty good following for the couple shows I did during the week, and a lot of times we were introducing new music too, and that was when we were spinning on vinyl too, of course.
Sure, I remember those days.
But yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sure was. How'd you get into the print though, Red?
That segued in 2008 when I left television. I was in radio and television, primarily radio for most of my career, and then had an opportunity to become the advertising director with the Rochester Business Journal, and that's a weekly business publication very similar to the Phoenix Business Journal. It was independently owned, but the publisher and I connected and had a lot of common ground as we first met, and started there as the advertising director. Was there for about 5 years, and then was recruited by this company to go to work first in Milwaukee for a year as the advertising director, and but obviously a lot more upward opportunity within American City Business Journals, and came out here as a publisher almost 2 years ago now. So it's been a great
newcomer to the valley. And Dave,
yeah.
You've been here most of your entire life
Since Dirt.
Yeah.
1979. Moved
Don't
down
be talking
here.
about older and Dirt. That's my partner here. Right.
Moved down here in 79 after...
I remember 79 well.
Yeah. After
He's there now.
growing up in a small town, little town called Elko, Nevada, ELKO, up in Nevada. Some people have heard of it. It's on I-80, a dot in the map then. It's growing now. But moved down here in 79 because there wasn't exactly an opportunity for a media career in Elko, Nevada. I mean, when's the last traffic report they had in Elko, Nevada, right? So they had one station, and if I wanted to be in media, you have to go to a bigger market. So here I am.
So how did you get into the market here?
So my dad was a land developer here at Fountain Hills and Lake Havasu with McCulloch Properties. And my mom and dad had divorced when I was a sophomore in high school, and I just wanted to spend time with them. So this was the chosen city to come and be with my dad, and then the career just developed from that point.
So how much of this skill and how much is luck from when you look back?
Ray, what do you think on that one?
Well, what do they say? Luck is where opportunity meets preparedness. So,
I like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's one of the definitions. But if you're in the right spot, and you also have to identify or recognize that it is an opportunity for you.
sure. The biggest thing, and when I talk to a lot of young people too, is the fact that you've got to start somewhere. You got to start, at a level that might not be as intriguing or as appealing, coming out of college. But take that first job at any point. Actually, last week we had a Mentoring Monday event where we had 40 professional women mentoring about 160 or so younger women, and so some of the people that were there too were asking me about just getting started, and that was the advice I gave to them was take anything, get started, because things happen very quickly.
Door opens, walk through it. You can always walk back out,
And
Did you
but
have
it
to-
may not ever open again.
Did you have to talk in a higher voice?
You can just be yourself, really, and if you do the right, work hard. Work ethic is really important too. But you'll be recognized, and whether it's with that company that you first start with, or other companies that will recognize you, or people you're interacting with, be able to bring you into their organization and move up very quickly.
Now, you mentioned mentors and mentoring the women, mentoring the young professionals. I've had a lot of really great mentors throughout my life, and that have, depending on where I was at, showed up at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
What have you guys experienced in your rise to fame?
Well, for me, it was my general manager I worked for in radio in about 98 or 99, and I expressed interest in moving into management. I'd been an account executive, and he essentially tried to talk me out of it, but certainly recognized that I did have some skill sets that would be beneficial in moving into management. But he's somebody that really kind of coached me and helped me to move into a management role, and somebody I still talk to and interact with to this day.
Now, were they mad skills or
follows
were they
my
super
career.
duper skills?
They were a little bit of both, which I think is necessary. But it's great to have somebody that you can still talk to. Mentoring can still take place even no matter how long you've been in business. I think there's still things that you can learn from somebody who either knows you or is familiar with your career and your path to.
Yeah, relationships
leadership.
often last a lifetime.
Oh, so you used him as a sounding board and got feedback and.
And just watching, observing, listening to the way that he managed people and ran the organization. He oversaw 7 radio stations at the time, and actually lived in Boston and commuted back and forth to Boston every week while he ran our stations with Clear Channel Radio. But again, those mentorships do really last a lifetime.
Dave, how about you?
Yeah, as far as probably the biggest mentor in my life was my dad, just because of moralistic principles. He comes from a time where a handshake meant everything, your word meant everything, and you just didn't go back on it. So whatever business I've been in, and most people know me from the media business, which is fine, but we have other businesses as well. I run all those with the same principles.
And you've written a book, too.
Yeah, same with media, yeah. But I run all those businesses with the same principles that my dad taught me, that your handshake's everything. Sure, there's going to be businesses that require contracts, and that's fine, but that's paper. But your handshake's everything. So I've kind of
It's a personal connection, that really you either honor it or you don't. And those that do seem to move forward.
Well, basically, when you have contracts and you're not working with a trustworthy person, the contracts really don't mean anything. So.
Yeah, some of the big corporations, they insist on it because it's the way they do business, and I understand that. They put them in the file, and that's it. So I try to be, workable on that, and I understand. For example, when show hosts come over, some want contracts because they're being represented by a bigger entity. They're being represented by a sponsorship. For example, Purina is big with us, or Justin Boots, or Red Bull, and everything they do is in contractual form so they can keep up with their agreements. I get that. But still, nothing is more important than a handshake that I give them.
Well, speaking of handshakes, we're going to handshake with our audience here. We're just a few moments, and we'll be right back with Two Small Biz Guys. Thanks for listening.
Two Small Biz Guys with Zen and Ray. We'll be back after this.
Are you a small business owner looking for education and information and don't have time for school? Is there an area of your business you'd like to know more about but aren't sure where to go or who to ask? Practical Biz U is an online repository of small business courses now available to you on the web. There are single class options, bundles for specific areas, and monthly memberships for ongoing learning opportunities. Go to practicalbizu.com and sign up today.
Business owners want to call their own shots, make appropriate income, and control their destiny. Our passion is to help you achieve your goals. A Pro Peer Advisory Board is just the thing. It's a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive owners facilitated by a pro who has walked in your shoes. He's your mentor and tormentor, moving you ahead. When you have issues or opportunities keeping you awake, where do you get help? Pro boards give support and non-biased feedback from your peers. To sample a free Pro President's Board meeting, email ray@propres.com. There's no commitment or charge. Email ray@propres.com. You're listening to Two Small Biz Guys. Now, back to your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
And welcome back, Ray, and Dave. Ray. Wow, that sounds
No,
interesting.
it's hooray.
Hooray. Hooray.
I'm the Who.
You Ray. Yeah, who?
Well, we're going to... Did you ever play the Who? So therefore you not got the hooray.
I did. We're going back to 79 now. Is that what we're doing?
Well, I did a TV show back in '92 called Who?
Hey, Ray's the one that mentioned playing vinyl. Have you seen that on HBO? Have you watched that?
No.
Oh, you got to watch that. It takes us back to the day
Really?
in the 70s. When you were talking about being in radio, that's...
Speaking
so
of,
you found that realistic.
No, just entertaining.
Okay.
Throwbacks are always great. Speaking of challenges and how technology has shifted, what have you guys found that have been your most challenging items or situations in shifting from the old last century kind of media delivery to the new delivery that includes the digital world?
Well, I mean, for me personally and professionally, as someone running a business, basically, it's definitely technology and trying to keep up with all of what's changing. When I say professionally, because equipment, obviously, and you look at these facilities here too, going from vinyl to what you have in front of us here, but having the the most up-to-date equipment to make your sound better or your publication look better, or the most advances, the advances that you can have with technology for putting out a good digital format and a template and so on. And then personally too, just being able to move with changes, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, all the social media and those responsibilities. So I would say definitely just keeping up with the changes in technology on all fronts. Really, that's probably most challenging, from knowledge as well as costs.
Right.
Probably trying to continually understand how to use all different platforms. So when you look at social networks, there's a big difference between Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and how you use those to your benefit as a business person. They're all different types of
absolutely.
platforms. So how you convey your content on those platforms is very important, understanding that. And also trying to understand how to create content for the internet, how to create content for print, how to create content for television. They're all different. And you may carry the same message on all platforms, but how you deliver them to all platforms and how the user experience is on the other end is completely different.
And you make a great point for the difference, the variety, if you will, between Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Plus, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest.
For all of us, the most important thing I think we can all agree is the user experience. So we do what we do, and in media sometimes ego takes over, and for some reason we think that it's all about us, but it's not. It's about the user.
It really isn't.
It's about the user. So to put yourself in the user position and say, okay, how will that user digest the content we're giving them? That's the most important thing, and then we can be the most impactful in our own forms of media.
Can I take you to a different way? When you used to be on AM, FM, and then you switched to on demand. What gave you that impression to want to change from the what was out there,
Right.
what was available, what was accepted.
Right. So on demand and traditional radio are completely different. Both have their power. But people today for AM/FM radio, they listen to radio by accident. And that's not being offensive. That's true. If you think about it, you're in your car and you turn your car on and there's a program on whatever radio station you were listening to last. So if you like the
Or
program,
you're looking for something that you like.
if you like the program that's on at that time, you're listening by accident, okay? And then it's their job to keep you and engage you. On demand is completely different. That's destination listening. People are choosing to find you, and they're making an appointment to listen to you. So that content
Is that kind of a staycation?
it's very targeted, you know.
Right.
But
It's very targeted.
Well, what made you want to change from the historic accepted way to something which wasn't out there yet?
Well, I think, and I'd love to get Ray's impression on this too. I think when you develop a new business, you don't plan your business for today. You plan your business for what's happening tomorrow. And I just saw more and more use coming with the internet. So the internet's kind of a big deal, guys. It seems to be taking off.
Seems to be, yeah.
And
Might be here to stay for a
when
little
I
while.
looked, like Ray mentioned, working for Clear Channel. Okay, so the name of the company now is what?
I heard.
What does that tell you right there? The name of their company starts with the I for internet.
Right.
So everything was moving towards the internet. So all I did is jump on the front end of the curve.
So, Ray, what about you?
Yeah, to Dave's point, it's paying attention to trends and listening to your audience and the people that are going to consume whatever media that you're putting out there, knowing, and sometimes anticipating what's going to be the next big thing in terms of, content or,
Maybe even where the audience is looking or
Sure.
listening.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're headed, what trending
There's signs out
features
there,
are.
and obviously the most successful people are the ones that can, in some cases, anticipate what the next big thing is. And, it seems like Dave's done a terrific job at that here. And so, I think it's really important to, react to what you're hearing from the people that you're trying to attract as your audience or, readers, subscribers, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, too, because Ray and I have a radio background, and we know that on stations that we've discussed, both on the air and off the air, people would listen for the format of the station. So when I was on KUPD, for example,
Right.
I would be silly to think that people were just listening for my show. No, they were listening for the music. And I was the guy in between, and my job was to bridge them and entertain them and get them back from the commercial break so they listened to another 30 minutes of nonstop rock or 2 for Tuesdays.
Right.
They were listening for the music.
And oftentimes, because of your interest, you became an edutainer rather than just an entertainer.
Yeah, so I was the icing on the cake. But with on-demand radio, you're the cake. You are the reason they're listening. So there's a big responsibility there.
So, speaking of the reason for listening, what do you think the audiences are looking for? How do you address those, and what affects their participation?
I think, in our
What
case,
invites their participation?
people want, more, better, faster, at least in for what we're doing as a publishing company. And I say publishing because, recently they actually changed my title. I'm not just publisher now, it's called market president and publisher, because we're not just publishing anymore. We're obviously, producing and putting content out there digitally, which is what our readers and subscribers want. People want things, as it happens, and they want it in small bites. They don't want to read long form. Which is why the magazines have publishing has struggled in that area. So, more, better, faster, and how well you can react to that and give those people what they want.
Sound bites,
Yeah.
tweets,
Sure.
So-
Yeah,
micro
140
blogging.
characters.
So
on
what
Twitter,
are what are some of your digital activities that you've been putting out recently?
Well, I mean, we've actually just begun within the last 4 weeks or so, because we have some unique content. So now what we've started to do is actually lock down certain stories, because we feel if people want our product that they should pay for it. We're increasing subscribers to our e-newsletters, which are free. But then if they want to read a specific story, what we're doing is we're giving them the first 2 paragraphs, and the same that's been done with the Wall Street Journal and New York Times and a lot of the big companies the media companies over the past several years.
And it does take a lot of effort and time to produce all this stuff.
Oh, sure.
And there's value there.
And as we've seen and as we've competed, less now than we did years ago, but with the daily publications that had a stronger business news reporting staff, now we're kind of the ones that people turn to, and I hear it from our readers and subscribers every day that we have a very unique product and people really appreciate what we do. So, we just feel that they should pay for it. Much the same way, I guess, on a bigger scale, people pay for cable television, have done so for years, and
right.
Well,
I'm
going to say it's always been a difficult transition for print media with the internet,
right.
because the expectation of free, or the training of being free, and all of a sudden changing this mindset over to there's value and there's a cost for some of this value.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go about conveying that that there's a true value and that they should pay?
Well, I mean, we're a niche publication, so what you find or what we publish and what we produce every day is not available through other, mainstream media. It's not available generally through other TV stations. Sure, there's press releases that go out, but our reporters are uncovering stories, and they have sources that give us content and information that they're not going to find anywhere else. So we're really not competing directly with the network stations locally, or with the daily publications, or many of the others for that matter too.
You've got a very targeted audience.
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of targets,
we're going to take a break here for our listening audience, and thanks for listening to Two Small Biz Guys. We'll be right back with you with Dave and Ray.
Two Small Biz Guys with Zen and Ray. We'll be back after this. As a business owner, have you ever felt alone at the top? You don't have to be. Ray Silverstein has worked with many business owners for over 20 years facilitating peer advisory boards. He is the proverbial mentor and tormentor. A Pro President's Peer Advisory Board is a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive owners that give support, feedback, and knowledge. They know the adage, all of us are smarter than one of us. He has walked in your shoes, having owned and sold 2 companies with sales in excess of $60 million and approximately 1,300 employees. In Young President's organization, he participated in peer advisory boards and felt it was a key to his success. His passion is to help small business owners succeed. He knows peer boards work when you are open, don't feel like you know it all, are willing to put issues on the table, and willing to take criticism. Be his guest at a Pro Advisory Board meeting to see if it works for you. There's no commitment to join, and you'll have a great experience. To sample a free Pro Business Owner Peer Board, email ray@proprez.com. That's ray@proprez.com. There's no commitment or charge.
The digital world is vast. Is it working for you? Would you like some qualified help? Zen Benefiel is a wonder with social media who leads focused and organized workshops on multiple platforms like Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. He leads by example, not theory, and teaches you how to live large and lively on the web. From blogs to SEO, his web presence speaks for itself. Take advantage of his expertise. Visit BeTheDream.com and click on Web Wizardry. Hire him while you can.
You're listening to Two Small Biz Guys. Now, back to your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
Glad to be back with you again here in the studio. We've got Dave Pratt, Ray Schey,
and
my
Ray
co-host
Silverstein. Don't forget about all those Rays.
Yeah, Ray.
Ray,
and
right.
Zen. I'm just a guy. One of 2 guys, actually. We were talking about the expectations of the public, your audience, and their anticipation of free material. What kind of effect has that had on your development of the business models that you have, and how have you addressed that, and how, in moving that direction, how do you bring social media into the picture?
Well, I think what Ray was talking about.
That's a loaded question, huh?
With niche programming, I really think Ray was onto something big there, and that's why people will pay for it. That's what internet radio is all about. You want to be as niche as possible. So I always tell our hosts, if you're going to do a movie show, that's great, but you'd have more impact if you do a show on Star Wars. If you do a show specifically on a certain type of movies, believe it or not, it's actually bigger, because in the search engines, in the Yahoo and the Bings and the Googles, that's how people search for products, and that goes back to social networking as well.
Well, we got lucky. Speaking of, you plug in small business talk radio, and we're on the first page of all the major.
And it all has to dance together in search engines. So whatever your show category is, that's how you continue to post it in search engines, and that's how you work your socials as well. That's how people find you. So in new media, you want people to be able to find you in ways that they're used to shopping, which now is Google and Yahoo and Bing and search engines. So that's the goal.
Now, is there a community that's created in the process with the relationships that are developed in your listening and reading audiences?
Yeah, absolutely. So every time I do a post, or most of the times on social media, I'll hashtag stuff like podcasts. So after a while, that
Or like the
goes
post
out.
on Facebook yesterday.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. But that with Wolfman Jack, is that the one?
No, the one on the new video capability that they're pushing out.
Oh, yeah. So I'll hashtag that with podcasts. And when you mention communities, that goes out to the internet community that's into broadcasting. That's where the name podcast comes from. So, yeah, you start to develop communities. But the more niche you can get, the better.
Well, you're the digital guy, but the aspect is, from your aspect, you were mentioning the free goods and the charge, and you get involved with the tweets and with hashtagging articles. People will use you in other types of social media to find your product.
Definitely, we have a digital editor who's responsible for most of our posts, a lot of our social media activity. We ask our entire staff to push things out through their social media. Facebook is still trending very well and really helps us to generate a lot of activity. Twitter, not just in this market, but in our 39 other markets across the country, has started to lose some steam, it seems, over the past several months. So, Facebook, as long as they continue to evolve and be the primary social media platform, that will continue to drive most of our page views. And for us, excuse me, we're also always looking to increase our page views, identify new visitors to our sites, obviously, and through social media, that's how we're able to do that.
You mentioned Facebook as being your main media, and most people perceive that LinkedIn as the business media. So you're a business publication. Why aren't you doing more emphasis on LinkedIn?
Well, we still do a lot with LinkedIn, but it seems there's more, a lot of, we have many more people that seem to have connections through Facebook than even on LinkedIn. And I don't go to LinkedIn regularly, and I think a lot of people don't go to LinkedIn regularly, so they're not, that's not their daily dose of seeing what's going on within their friends or their business contacts and so on, where Facebook still is that.
Well, like you were talking earlier, Dave, the two different audiences, the types of information that's there, people don't necessarily, unless you're there for a business reason.
Right.
LinkedIn's great. If you're not, then you're socializing and you're looking for all kinds of information, and thinking Facebook's more leans more towards that direction.
It's really
more
interesting.
interactive too. Obviously.
Yeah, Ray, I agree. To get to Ray's point on that with Facebook, for example, over the weekend, so I posted something simple. I posted a photo of my boy going to the prom, right? 10,000 views, responses, whatever it was. But I might post something to do with business today, the fact that I'm on this show. Those are going to the same people, but they just had a fun experience where I didn't solicit them for business. So it becomes a personal relationship that can transfer into business, to where LinkedIn, if you're on there, it's all business. And most people are just soliciting on LinkedIn all the time. But Facebook, they get to know you as a person, and they get to know what you care about. On the niche programming stuff too, Ray, with your business, think about that. You want to talk about beauty for SEO? Phoenix Business Journal. Phoenix and business together, that's very powerful, because, Phoenix Magazine doesn't mean business. Rochester Business doesn't have the word Phoenix in. But when you put Phoenix and business together, that's a powerful SEO.
It is.
You can SEO that all day long. That is niche.
Everybody wants to come to Phoenix.
But that's niche content there. That's niche content. So.
In the wintertime only, though.
So people can SEO business, and they're going to get everything you can possibly imagine. But Phoenix business, that's completely different.
Right. Well, just trying things out with the Small Business Talk Radio, I found one of Ray's cohorts in Chicago. Barry Moltz. Yeah. He's been doing a show. I forget the name of it right now, but he's number one. On some of the engines were right behind him, and others were a little further down the page, but we're newcomers to that arena.
Yeah, the more you're on, the bigger your footprint will become. It's just consistency, and the more you use the internet, the more the search engines pick you up.
Well, it's amazing how we've grown and how that has come about with the listenership, and the numbers you shared with us recently, amazing. With the growth and interest level, speaking of niche markets. And speaking of markets, we've got another website that we promote occasionally. It's called Practical Biz U, and we have worksheets on there that you can download for free to help your business in all kinds of different ways.
Well, that's because Ray mentioned all the free goods that they're on Phoenix Business Journal, and just reading that publication. So we have all this good stuff.
We got free stuff too, and you can find that through the Two Small Biz Guys website as well. There's a link on there with the PBU logo. So with the strategies that you guys are involved, do you see your how do you see it coming together? Do you have a handshake going on? Are you embracing? Do you see an advantage in helping each other and moving together, or is that?
Do you mean in general as industries, or do you mean Ray and I personally?
Well, let's go both. Because there's more than just transactions going on. There's relationships developing that you mentioned, Dave. Relationships in this new world, if you will, are more important than the business transactions.
Well, I think the internet gives us extensions to our audience that we haven't had before, so it gives us more legs. But, our company started to look at developing other media relationships. So, in other words, if we're, here's our audience of, 50,000 or so weekly readers of our publication, and 23,000 e-newsletter subscribers in the afternoon and 20,000 in the morning. How do we go beyond those people if we're speaking to those people all the time?
Like, share, and follow.
Now we have to start looking towards, is there a way that we can partner with other TV stations or radio stations to be able to, and we'll help one another. So we've kind of created a template of, basically just an outline. We were talking about contracts earlier too, but where we basically, it's a simple agreement, just saying, you provide this and we'll provide this, and so we can kind of work together. Very specific structured agreements in our industry are very difficult to adhere to. So if they want one of my reporters to be on a radio show or on a TV segment at a specific time, that's very difficult for us to commit to, and vice versa for them sometimes to have very specific outlines. So we're just kind of looking at some loose agreements and looking at some other stations that complement us. So whether it's a TV station with a news product or a radio station that has maybe more news programming or business programming, those are the opportunities and relationships we're going to look to develop in the near future.
Dave, you got a quick comment before we go to break?
A good example of business partnerships, for example. So today's the first day that I've met Ray. But if you take the Phoenix Business Journal and then you take Star Worldwide Networks, so the way the two businesses work together, it's only workable when it's mutual in terms of benefits. That's the basis for any great agreement. So if you take Star Worldwide Networks, and business-wise, when you think of the shows that we have on our network, you have to think of them as individual businesses because everybody's doing a show for a reason, most often to brand their business. So those are all individual businesses who would participate with the Phoenix Business Journal because they're businesses and they're local and they're in Phoenix. Now, from the Phoenix Business Journal side, you have 50,000 readers coming in. Those are all potential show hosts that may want to do a show to brand their business. So there's mutual benefit. The way internet radio comes into play is when you think of Phoenix business, it's not just the people currently living in Phoenix. So if you use local radio and television, there's a lot of power in that. But basically, you're preaching to the same choir over and over and over and over. It's the same group.
And the way to get out of that is to do the four main characteristics that Tom and Penny Power brought out in the early aughts, and that's know, like, follow, and share. And we'll talk about more of that as we come back in just a moment. Thanks for listening to Two Small Biz Guys. We'll be right back.
Two Small Biz Guys with Zen and Ray. We'll be back after this.
Hi, I'm Zen Benefiel with Be the Dream Transformational Life Coaching and Professional Services at BeTheDream.com. Our mission? To provide leading-edge transformational personal and business development services. Our services include life coaching, enterprise coaching, partnering facilitations, and possibilities coagulating. We've been in business since 1988. In times of massive change, you need someone who can help you adjust and transform. I can meet that challenge with you, offering a stellar skill set from serving individuals and companies for over 20 years. I invite you to peruse BeTheDream.com and put me to the test. Fill out the coaching assessment survey and give me a call. The first call is free, and you can find out if I'm what you are looking for in a coach, consultant, or service provider. Call 480-633-7179. Let your dreams mold future realities. BeTheDream.com.
Business owners want to call their own shots, make appropriate income, and control their destiny. Our passion is to help you achieve your goals. A Pro Peer Advisory Board is just the thing. It's a confidential monthly meeting of non-competitive owners facilitated by a pro who has walked in your shoes. He's your mentor and tormentor, moving you ahead. When you have issues or opportunities keeping you awake, where do you get help? Pro boards give support and non-biased feedback from your peers. To sample a free Pro President's board meeting, email ray@propres.com. There's no commitment or charge. Email ray@propres.com. You're listening to Two Small Biz Guys. Now, back to your hosts, Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein.
And that's got a nice ring to it. We were talking off air about the Masters tournament and how that was taken by everybody was taken by surprise with the tail end of that. But surprises are everywhere. Changes that have been happening in the print media or print and radio industry have caught a lot of people by surprise. What do you see the future looking like between what you guys are seeing?
Yeah, so as far as the future, what I try to do is I try to really listen. Larry King, who is just a phenomenal interview host, I was lucky enough to have him on the show once, and he said, Dave, listening is the key to a good interview. So I try to keep that in mind in business in general. I listen to our entire staff. I learn off them every day. And we're blessed with, 157 shows now. I can honestly tell you, and I sincerely mean this, there's not a show host that I haven't learned off.
Right.
Because through their trials and tribulations and challenges and successes, if they share that with me, that's big.
And in developing relationships, it doesn't matter what you want to
Huge.
give. It's how good you can listen and respond that people pay attention to.
Okay, well, where do you get your ideas for the future as to what's coming down the pike as to how you have to adapt?
Mm-hmm. Really paying attention. So I'll give you an example. When the Brussels bombing happened, right? I was out to lunch, and I noticed something happened that was really different. So I was at an early dinner, actually. When that happened, all around the restaurant, I said, look around. Everybody picked up their phone, and they couldn't have been on it quick enough. That's how people consume media today. They didn't run to a television. They didn't run out to their car and turn their radio on. They picked up their phone right away to find out what's happening on news. It's amazing when news happens. That taught me something.
And digital delivery is instantaneous.
So to answer your question, that taught me everything we do has to be on a smartphone, has to be on a mobile phone, because people carry that 24 hours a day. I know people that don't go to bed unless their phone is charged on their nightstand in case something happens with their business. Everything's on their cell phone. Everything. So we try to put everything on a cell phone too. Like with your guys' show, we don't just carry your show on the cell phone like other media companies. We carry everything about you. Your blogs, your news feed, your socials, everything about you. So that's what we try to do on the digital side, is we realize that phones are everything.
And hey guys, no like, follow, and share too.
There's a new hospital being built over in California now, and it's kind of interesting. They did an interview with the architect, and he said, one of the most important things in hospitals, charging stations, because people are waiting for their loved ones as they're being taken care of, and they're trying to look up insurance information, and they're trying to do their job from the hospital as they're caring for their sick mom or whatever it is.
Right.
They need charging stations to continue with business. So as they develop their new healthcare systems, charging stations and patient rooms and lobbies, so they learned off the user experience. That's a good example.
And another one was the cabin at the Masters. One of the shots they had, there was a charging station there that,
For the players, yeah.
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 So, Ray, what is your observation on what is the future for? So you're basically in print, but also, Dave is mentioning the aspect about mobile and the mobility, and so you put out your morning edition and your evening edition. Do you ever come out with like flash editions?
Oh, sure. And I would probably, echo a lot of what Dave was saying. It's really important to listen to, especially the people that are your, in radio, the term is P1, your most loyal listeners, or in our case, it's the people that, have been longtime subscribers and attend our events and, pick up everything that we do in our digital products and so on. So it's listening to, their lifestyles, their thoughts, their ideas, things that they'd like to see from us, and, shortly after I arrived in Phoenix here, a little less than 2 years ago, my question to the people I was talking with, it's really nice to hear a lot of the great feedback and comments from readers and subscribers, but, it's more important to hear some of the criticisms too, and I'm okay with that.
That's
because
how you grow.
That's how you become better.
Yeah.
And so, I'll ask people openly, what can we do better? A few weeks ago, we brought in about 12 or 13 of the managing partners from the largest law firms in Phoenix just to create an open forum. So my editor and myself were there just to hear some of what was on their mind and what can we do better to serve that industry. So it's, taking steps like that, I think that leads you to whatever the next better thing is that you can do to improve your business or improve your communication with your audience.
With the Phoenix Business Journal, I just want to add, guys, so I fly in and out of Scottsdale a lot because I'm going back and forth to California in the same day. Those are all business commuters there. So if you're traveling in the morning, for example, and you're sitting there waiting for your flight, you can go on your mobile phone and you can get the information from Phoenix Business Journal that morning. Now, I'll tell you, a couple weeks ago, Governor Ducey signed into law 16 bills in one day. So say I'm traveling back from California. A number of those bills had to do with Phoenix business and taxing. A number of those bills did. So if I'm coming back from California, now I can get the evening version of Phoenix Business Journal and I can find out what those bills were, all with 2 thumbs on my phone. That is using new media in the right way.
Yeah.
Now, since our audience is targeted primarily towards small business, so how can small business utilize, say, the Phoenix Business Journal or use on demand to enhance their presentation, their branding, their exposure, whatever?
Mm-hmm. Well, first and foremost, they can pay attention to other activity in the area. So it could be a company that's moving into the area that we report on frequently. There may be an opportunity for them to introduce themselves. So, reading who's coming into the area, what new businesses are coming into the area, the areas around the valley where we're seeing specific growth within a certain industry too. So we know that the downtown area is seeing a big growth in tech too, as well as the Scottsdale area. So, if you're running a small business, depending on which industry you're trying to, sell your goods and services to or be in front of, just seeing who's coming into the area can be a big benefit for creating prospects for you, as well as individuals. We have another area on our website and in our publication called People on the Move. So when you notice somebody that you've worked with in your past or somebody that has just taken a new position or received some kind of recognition or a promotion within their company, to being able to identify those people, and even if you don't know them, to be able to just drop a handwritten note. We talk about technology and so on, but one of the things that I preach to my sales teams over the years is still send that personal note.
You got to have the personal touch. It really, that's the icing on the cake.
125 emails a day, but if you get a piece of mail that's personalized, that's the thing you pay attention to probably more so than the emails. And so dropping that personal note to someone to acknowledge their promotion or whatever it might be, I think goes a long way to opening a door and maybe building a relationship or extending a relationship too. Those are just a few of the ways that people can help their own business by growing, by reading what we have. Trends, again, too, will report on where the activity is, the people and the companies that are making strides in the valley here, too.
Your comment on a personal note is very interesting because a lot of people forget about that aspect of business because that's kind of very old-fashioned. Mm-hmm. But the aspect is that it stands out and really differentiates you from others.
No question.
So, Dave, how do small business owners really capitalize and utilize on demand?
Mm-hmm. So, with on demand, using Ray as an example with the Phoenix Business Journal, think of all the small businesses located in downtown Phoenix. So with the small businesses looking at the Phoenix Business Journal, for example, just with the morning and the evening edition, if they find out, for example, that a new convention's coming to downtown Phoenix, they can prepare ahead. And even the bigger businesses, Ray, the Sheratons, the Palomars, the Westin, the Copper Squares, they find out about conventions coming in. Usually, guys, it's not waiting for that convention business to come to you and booking hotels. It's reaching out to them saying, hey, you're coming to Phoenix? This is the deal we have in our conference room, presentation rooms, banquets. But you have to get to them first because there's a lot of competition down there. So
That's what the Phoenix Convention Bureau does quite a bit of outreach with.
Yeah. So the ones, what Ray was talking about with it being niche programming, and although you pay for, after the first two paragraphs, that's information that others may not be getting. And that's information that's going to put you ahead of the curve that allows you to be aggressive.
So what do you think how does a small business take advantage of that? What do they do?
Well, a lot of the, just on the hospitality and the travel side of things, those board meetings are open too. So any conversations that take place, I'm on the Downtown Phoenix Partnership Board as well as Visit Phoenix. People can attend those board meetings. And
I'm
just
so
hear
busy working on
some
my
of the-
business, though. I don't have time for that. What can I get to?
Well,
easy.
Getting in front of those people, we talked about relationships too,
Right.
and so if you really want to be in the know and have an opportunity to shake hands with the people who are making those decisions or have that information before the public gets it, you
gotta
taking
get
the
out
time
from
to be
behind
able
the
to
desk.
do that, shaking hands with the people that are out there meeting with the NCAA to be able to bring the Final Four here, or meeting with the NCAA on a championship game or the bowl games. Being able to connect with those people and, finding out where they are, getting in front of them, shaking their hand, giving them your business card, following up.
So what I hear you saying is that with what you deliver, they can make better choices as to what their timing is and focus on their effort at being at a specific place at a specific time rather than just a generality.
You know what's in what Ray's saying? Downtown Phoenix, for example, nothing still beats hard work. What you're talking about with handwritten thank you notes. Today, I'm going downtown to meet with Union Market. It's the U.S. Bank building at First Avenue in Monroe. I don't have an agenda, guys. They invited me to come down. I'm going down just to find out information. But even as I set up that appointment, just by being active, they told me they're working on a New Year's Eve event. Well, that could be possible business for our network. Nothing beats pounding the pavement. You still, with all the new technology available to us, still hard work and elbow grease matters. You have to get out there. Ray's answer to the Downtown Phoenix Partnership, and you have to get in front of these people. That comes from working.
It does.
Some people mistake technology for being lazy, that they can do everything in their underwear from their laptop at home. No, you still have to get out and shake hands and meet people.
Well, and in the workshops that I do for social media, the objective is to take the online relationships, develop them through the know, like, follow, and share technology and techniques. But you've ultimately got to bring those offline and meet face to face because we're human beings. We need that human contact and,
Right.
and the development of the relationships.
Well,
Yeah,
another point that I make too to salespeople too, it's easy to say no to an email.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How much more difficult is it to say, no to someone face to face, or
Yeah,
geez, I'm sorry, I'm not
absolutely.
interested in your
It
business.
says delete. But going back to your comment, when you talk about busy, the aspect is that the small business owner has to create the strategy and he has to think about what is really important. And just being busy may not be the right strategy at that time. I mean, people can be busy 100% of the time, but you really have to say, if downtown Phoenix is my market or if tourism is my market, what do I really have to do to be able to make an impression? And you have to move from just doing things to thinking about what you really should be doing.
Right.
And that seems to be the hard part for business, small business.
And
But-
to figure out what to delegate.
Yeah. Okay, but since we have two leaders with us, what suggestions do you have for small business owners for leadership? How do you think that they should lead their business? What do you think that they can do to improve their skill sets?
I think, being active in networking organizations too, from the time I arrived in Phoenix here, I attended virtually every event that I was invited to. I've started to scale back and become a little more selective, which became, important in terms of time commitments and
I'm glad we
and
were part of
well-being, but really getting involved in attending networking events, and again, still comes down to choosing the right ones to be part of. But meeting more people is where you're going to open doors, and the person you might meet at that particular event might not necessarily be the person that's going to do business with you, but chances are they know somebody else who will be able to point you, or they'll know someone else who could do
whether it's
business
3
with you
degrees
point
or
you in
6
the right
degrees or
direction.
whatever,
Yeah.
the degrees are there, and by showing up, you make that opportunity possible.
You'll learn, and one of our lines, our taglines that we use is be part of the conversation. So in other words, if you're reading the Business Journal, you're going to be able to speak in those groups in conversation about things that are happening in business in the Phoenix area or in the Valley here too. And that's really important to be able to, be heard in that conversation.
And Dave, what are your thoughts?
For us, it's always concentrating on the user experience. Always. Because if you do that and you make the user successful, then your business will be successful. So for us, our users are the listeners, the hosts, the advertisers, and our partners. So we concentrate on their experience because we feel like if we can help make them more successful, give them more ROI, then we'll be successful in turn. But they come first.
And you've also got a great staff. Your internal customers are great as well. Wonderful to work with, highly motivated professionals. Speaking of professionals,
Yes.
your advisorologists have really enjoyed the company shared today with you, Dave and Ray. We thank you both for showing up and being part of the conversation.
Thank you. And
Thanks.
Ray and
Thanks so
Zen,
much.
we're proud to have you on the network. And Ray, it's good to meet you. Finally.
same here.
So we
Yeah,
meet,
yeah.
and it's great to spend time with you. So thanks for having me. I
Glad
appreciate
we
it.
could facilitate that. Thank you all for listening to Two Small Bees, guys, and we'll be back with you next week.
Thank you for listening to Two Small Biz Guys with Zen Benefiel and Ray Silverstein. You can hear Two Small Biz Guys live every Wednesday at noon or catch their show on demand anytime 24/7 right here on StarWorldWideNetworks.com.